Hashtag Book Shrimp, and I am back with another video. Turning that down, the TV in the background. Gosh, my contacts are really foggy. I just can't get it together today. So I tried this new hairstyle. Don't know how I feel about it. It was by accident. I was supposed to twist my hair, but then my daughter was just not having it. So I was like, I'll just comb it out and put it in 2 puff balls. Somebody told me I was giving them Donna Summer's 1970s disco vibes, which I feel like I should have some skates on so I could go skating in a skating rink with some bell bottoms. That's how I feel. Don't worry about it. I got imaginary music going in my head. Alright, y'all, so as the title says, I am about to do my picture book wrap up. So let me pull this up on Goodreads because I am ill prepared to film. I think I said this in one of my other videos. Like, I'm so sorry at filming now. I'm trash at filming just because I'm trying to get my life together. Okay, so this picture book wrap up is going to include stuff that I have read in January and February. No, it is not the end of February. However, we just have this week left, and anything that I read from this month, for the rest of this month, I will include in March as well. So like nothing, this will probably say, I'm thinking of the title now, Picture Book Wrap Up #1, January and February 2020. I think that's how it's going to go. Just because that's makes the most sense. So let's go ahead and get started because everybody knows I like to do a long ass introduction. It's already been 2 minutes. 2 whole minutes. Like I don't have shit to do. Alright, so the first picture book that I read in January of this year was A is for Audrey, Broadway's Leading Ladies from A to Z, and this is by John Robert Altman. So essentially with this picture book, it was about all of Broadway's leading ladies and the roles that they played, and it was told in a poem rhyme type of thing, and it went from A to Z. Some parts of it were a little clunky, a little corny, but overall, like, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. There was a lot of aspects of Broadway that I didn't know about. Broadway's leading ladies that I didn't know. Like, I did not know that, oh gosh, this lady, y'all, freaking Mary Poppins. What is her name? Julie Andrews. Goodness gracious. I did not know that she originally played Eliza Doolittle. I always thought of Eliza Doolittle from My Fair Lady as Audrey Hepburn. I did not know that she played her originally, so that was really interesting. The artwork was, I don't want to say CGI, but it was CGI type-ish. Not CGI. CGI is such a bad word. It was computerized. It was done on a computer graphics. I liked it. I know a lot of people don't enjoy it, but I did enjoy it, and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. The next picture book that I read was First Snow by Bomi Park, and this one actually is interesting because it was first published in South Korea, and it is just a picture book about first snow. I randomly picked it up. I didn't dislike it, but I also didn't like it. I thought that the art scheme was really cool because it's done in all these like grays and whites, and then there's like the red scarf on the child, as you can kind of see on the cover, is what stands out during the book. So I thought that was really cool, but like other than that, very few like words as far as text. So this would be a good picture book for like beginning readers. Like it's a lot more picture based than anything, but it just wasn't my favorite, but I ended up giving that one 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, so the next one that I read was one that I really enjoyed, that I gave 5 stars to, and that was Shaking Things Up, 14 Young Women Who Change the World, and this is by Susan Hood, illustrated by Selena Iko and Sophie Blackall. And this book really focuses on letting little girls know that they can be anything that they want to be, and they profile 14 women who have faced adversity and still did marvelous things even in the face of adversity. I think that it was such a broad range of things that they covered, like, you know, from people flying into space to women who have done cancer research. It was just like such a broader spectrum of things that little girls who read this book can feel like, you know, I can do anything, I can be anything that I want to be when I grow up. And I like that each page featured an individual, and then it had a short poem that was related to what that individual did, and then underneath that it had like a small biography. So there was a lot that I really loved. And then like on each picture of the individual that was highlighted, there was also like a quote. And I like that there was so much detail put into this book. It was just phenomenal that the authors and the illustrators took so much time to highlight as much as they could about each one of these women. And I think that this is actually a really good book to read for Women's History Month. If anyone is interested in that, I probably will recheck it out again just so I can read it for Women's History Month. So the next one that I read was kind of kiddie, kind of jokey. It was Jack and the Beanstalk and the French Fries, and it is kind of a spin on the original tale of Jack and the Beanstalk. You know, Jack finds the beanstalk, they get beans, and his mother becomes like super obsessed with making things out of beans, and Jack pretty much gets sick of it. So instead of like being content with the beans, he goes up, climbs up the beanstalk, and basically asks the giant and his wife, like, you know, yo, like, why is there nothing but beans? Like, this is disgusting. And the story kind of ensues from there. I thought it was okay. I think that the spin on it was really cute. I thought that the artwork was good. I just think it's written definitely for a younger, not a younger audience. I think it's written for an older audience. It'd be too overwhelming for a young audience because there's so much text on each page. And the story is just too detailed. So I would definitely think like maybe second and third grade readers would enjoy this book as opposed to like pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade. I think it'd be a little bit too much for them. If you're looking for something that's funny and it's a fairy tale retelling, I would definitely recommend picking this one up. It wasn't a favorite for me, but it was still somewhat enjoyable. The next one that I read was Hattie and Hudson, and it was a cute picture book. I didn't really connect with the story. It's about a girl who discovered that there's a monster in her town, and she has to figure out how the town is going to react when they find out that there's a monster in the lake. I thought the artwork was beautiful. It was gorgeous, but I didn't feel any type of way about it. I thought it was okay. I wasn't excited about it. And this one is by Chris Van Dunstan. I just wasn't excited about it at all, so I did end up giving that one 3 out of 5 stars. The next one that I read was Thirsty Elephants, and this one is by Sandra Markle and Fabricio Vanden Broek is the illustrator, and this is a nonfiction picture book. And if you guys didn't know, elephants are my favorite animal, and elephants basically have a really good memory. And this is kind of illustrated in this book because there was a drought that occurred, and I want to make sure that I'm getting this right, in Tanzania. And what they observed is that this grandmother elephant led her group of, or her, like the herd of elephants, to watering spots that she had been to when there was a prior drought in Tanzania. And it showed that she used her prior knowledge and experiences that she had went through like a while ago to help keep her herd of elephants alive. And I think it's just a really good look at like animal relations and the memory of elephants and how they interact with each other. I just thought it was a really fascinating book, and I really enjoyed all of the author's notes and all the information that was provided, and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. The next one that I read was Just Like a Mama by Alice Faye Duncan and Charnel Pickney Barlow is the illustrator, and this one is really good. This is a picture book that I think I would use whenever we're talking about like the different makeup of families and, you know, kids who might be living with a relative, or kids that might be adopted, because there's a girl in this story, main character, who's describing what it's like to live with Mama Rose, who is kind of like a mother figure to her. It's not her mother or her father, of course, and she can't live with them right now, so she's living with Mama Rose. And she talks about how Mama Rose is just like her mama, even though that may not be her biological mom. She's just like a mom because she takes care of her, she plays with her, you know, she has, you know, fun with her, she loves her, she cares about her just like any mother would. I just felt like this was just such a phenomenal story, and the artwork was great, and one that people should definitely check out. I ended up giving that one 4 out of 5 stars. The next one that I read was Brown Baby Lullaby, and this one was by Tamika Fryer Brown and A.G. Ford did the illustrations. The main thing that I really loved about this book was the rep in it. It had an Afro Latinx family represented, which I have not seen in a lot of, I think this may be my first time seeing this in like a picture book. And I loved that it is just about 2 parents taking care of the baby, just the traditional lullaby, something quick and easy that I could basically read to my daughter before she goes to sleep at night. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It's one that I probably will read again just because I think my daughter would really enjoy it, especially as like a bedtime story. And I ended up giving that one 4 out of 5 stars. The next one that I read was Dancing in the Wings, and this one is actually by Debbie Allen, and the illustrator is Kadir Nelson. And this is about a young girl who is taller than everybody else. She has bigger feet than everybody else, and people kind of pick on her about it, but she learns to find her confidence because all she wants to do is dance. And she doesn't know if she would get accepted like the other girls who are like shorter, have smaller feet, and she has to learn like about just loving herself and fulfill her dream of becoming a dancer. And it is a long one. Once again, this is one that I wouldn't recommend for younger audiences. I would say anywhere from 3rd to 5th grade level of reading for a picture book, but the artwork was beautiful, so beautiful, and I really love the story. Ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I played Hosea Plays On, and this is by Kathleen M. Blasi, and the illustrator is Shane W. Evans. Artwork was so beautiful. So I know you guys can just see the cover, but the art, like the colors used in the entire picture book, which is just like the cover, very vibrant, very beautiful colors. And it's just about, and it's, I didn't realize when I was reading it that it's actually based on the true story of this guy who would play music around town and collect money, and he would actually give the kids in the neighborhood free lessons and buy them instruments. And this story is essentially about him, like, he is going through the neighborhood playing his music, and you can see that he's earning money throughout the day, but you don't know what for. Then you find out what he's earning money for towards the end of the book. I thought it was really great. And there's an after note in the back of the book that explains like how this book was actually based on an actual man who did stuff like this. I thought it was just so great. It's such a beautiful book, and I truly enjoyed that one. So the next one that I have here that I read, I make sure I try not to get too much glare on the wrapping of the library book. This is The Secret Garden of George Washington Carver, written by Jean Beretta and illustrated by Frank Morrison. This is the story of George Washington Carver and how he came to become interested in it, growing plants, and how he learned so much about the peanut and its many uses. I would also say that this one is a lengthy one, as you can see from the text, that there's a lot of text in here, but the pictures are absolutely gorgeous. I think the artwork just speaks volumes for itself. This is one that I did end up reading for Black History Month because I was like, it was new, it was coming out, and I was like, oh, I would really enjoy this. And I just learned so much. This is also a nonfiction picture book. I've been picking up a lot of these because I learn a lot. I'm not an avid nonfiction reader, although I've been reading quite a bit nonfiction this year, which is a bit in terms of me. Like, I usually read like 2 nonfiction books a year. And so far I've read about 3 or 4 this year, which is really good, not including the picture book. So I try to ease myself into nonfiction by checking out children's nonfiction picture books, and this definitely was a great one. I learned so much about this man and like even where he went to school. I thought I was well versed in his life, and clearly I'm not well versed at all, but I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I ended up reading Earth Hour. This is by Nanette Heffernan and illustrated by Lune. And this is about the Lights Out event that takes place around the world for an hour so we can conserve energy, make sure that we're taking care of the planet. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I did not know that this was a thing until I read this picture book, and it's super sad, but I genuinely didn't know. And this actually talks a lot about Earth Hour, and it shows the different places where it does take place. The picture of Egypt, and I think like this one might be, yeah, that one's in Paris, and then that must place somewhere in the north, somewhere where you could see the aurora borealis. So maybe Iceland or Greenland, something like that. But it talks about how we can conserve energy and what that 1 hour means to us, and it does have information in the back about it. So this is, like I said, this is another nonfiction picture book, which is great because I didn't know anything about Earth Hour. But I'm super excited that I read it because I think that I learned a lot, and I will be participating in Earth Hour this year. I thought the illustrations were great. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. Now I have 3 here that I haven't included on my Goodreads yet. I don't know why, but I do need to include them on my Goodreads. The first one that I have here is Pippas Night Parade, and this is by Lisa Robinson, illustrated by Lucy Fleming. I really enjoyed this one. This is a good bedtime story. It's about a girl who's essentially kind of like scared of the dark, and she feels like there's monsters, and she really wants her nightlight to be on all the time. And her dad keeps having to bring her back to bed. Her mom keeps having to tuck her in, but eventually she figures out how to handle the monsters. I really thought this was cute. This is one that I'll probably keep for my daughter and I to read, especially as she gets older. She's too young for it right now, but it's one that I think that we can look forward to reading when she gets a little bit older. And I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. The next one that I have here is Patricias Vision, the Doctor Who Saves Sight, and this is by Michelle Lord and illustrated by Aliana Harris. I really enjoyed this one, and I read this one specifically for Black History Month, another non-fiction picture book, and it is the biography of Patricia Bath, and she is the first. She was responsible. She got a patent on a specific laser that she was doing that would essentially help. Let me see. Yeah, it's a probe that she created, and she got it patented. And I wonder if she's considered the first Black ophthalmologist. I don't think she is. She invented the laser device. She co-founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness, and she's the first African female to receive a medical patent. That's what it was. And she believes in what's called community ophthalmology, meaning that it offers eye care and blindness prevention to underserved communities. So this is super cool. I really loved it. This is also for an older audience, I would say, in between the ages of 3 to 5, because it has a lot of text on each page, as you can see. What I did like is, if you can see at the bottom of this page, there is a quote, and on each page they have a quote from stuff that she has said, which is really cool. And I learned so much about her, and I really enjoyed this. And this is kind of like individuals that I feel like are lesser known, and not really celebrated as much as they should be, especially during like Black History Month. But I really did love it, and I ended up giving this one 5 out of 5 stars. And the last one that I have is super sad. It is Fred's Big Feelings, The Life and Legacy of Mr. Rogers, written by Laura Renaud and illustrated by Bridget Berger. This is also a non-fiction picture book biography of Fred Rogers. Of course, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. There's been so much about his life lately, from documentary to books to the film with, oh gosh, you guys know who I'm talking about. This is crazy that I can't remember anybody's names today. But I really thought that this was marvelous. I enjoyed a lot of it. There was a lot about Mr. Rogers that I didn't know. I didn't know that he had already started his own company when he in Canada, and then he based Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood off of it. I also didn't know that he debated Congress about cutting funding, where he stood before Congress and gave his opinion as to why public television funding shouldn't be cut. I also did not realize that he explored and took classes to help himself better understand kids like development and how they handle emotions, and all that translated into Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I grew up on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I think a lot of us have grown up on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So it's so great to know the life and legacy of the man behind something that I grew up on. I loved Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I used to try to tie my shoes and put on my jackets just like he did. And it was just kind of emotional reading this, like something that had been such a big part of my childhood. So I definitely want to do more exploration, maybe into some adult materials, but this was definitely a good intro for me, especially since it's nonfiction. But I'm excited to learn more about him. This was a great book. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Alright, y'all, so that is my first picture book wrap up. I'm so excited. I'm happy that there were some people who were like, they were excited for the picture book wrap up. So, you know, sometimes I get kind of like, discouraged is not the word, because I don't say I get discouraged. I think sometimes I get kind of like unsure about whether this is like something that I want to do, because I know that picture book readings are not popular on BookTube, and you know, I hope that there's an audience for this and people actually want to see stuff like this. So when I see people comment and say like, I'm looking forward to the picture book wrap up, like, it makes me feel good that, you know, there are people who would value hearing about what I read picture book wise. So we'll continue to do these throughout the year, and I will definitely have more picture books for you guys to hear about. I'm super excited about this. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button and the bell for notification. If you're interested in following me on social media, all of my links will be down in the description box below, and I'll be back with another video soon. Bye, y'all.